He's always available for the news programs. Arizona Senator John McCain receives friendly airtime and is relied upon for his perspective because of his willingness to stand apart from true conservatism, which is based on the U.S. Constitution's limitation of the federal government. The media love him, not because he's a traditional conservative, but because he's a neoconservative. A neoconservative is a partisan for socialism, big government, and war to force the movement's view on others. Neoconservatism had its birth in the 1970s when a group of Democrats abandoned that political party and declared themselves newly minted Republicans. Led by Irving Kristol, the self-proclaimed godfather of the movement, neocons have followed his lead in calling for a conservative welfare state. They also roundly condemn isolationism, preferring military action almost anywhere. Kristol frequently and proudly expressed his affection for Leon Trotsky, who partnered with Joseph Stalin in the takeover of Russia in 1917. On February 19, 2017, Jon Karl interviewed Senator Rand Paul on ABC's This Week program. Asked to explain John McCain's frequent criticisms of President Donald Trump, Paul stated, "I think Senator McCain's perspective is colored by his disagreements with President Trump on foreign policy. If I were to look at foreign policy, I would say that John McCain has been wrong on just about everything over the last 4 decades. He advocated for the Iraq War, which I think destabilized the Middle East. If you look at a map, there are probably at least 6 different countries where John McCain has advocated having U.S. boots on the ground. John McCain's complaint is we're either not at war somewhere, or if we're at war, we leave too soon. So we're not there soon enough, and he wants us to stay forever wherever we send troops." McCain's affection for war as can be found in some of his recent Senate votes. Last September, the Arizona senator supported a measure calling for sending tanks to Saudi Arabia that could be put to use in the Yemen struggle. Had his intention not been blocked, the U.S. would have been more heavily involved in yet another Middle East conflict. Then in December 2016, McCain supported the huge $611.2 billion National Defense Authorization Act, which supplies funding for military action in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria. This enormously expensive measure also called for the creation of a global engagement center that will finance U.S. activity in countering foreign state propaganda efforts. In other words, the U.S. will be meddling in other nations and calling it part of needed defense of our own. Critics say this new center will drag our nation into more conflicts. John McCain spent several years as a prisoner of the Communist North Vietnamese during the Vietnam War. He rode that credential into gaining a place in Congress as a conservative Republican, a reputation he never deserved. His performance has never seen him siding with traditional conservatism and determined non-interventionism. That's why the liberal media goes to him for his comments about President Trump and anything that even hints at rolling back big government and having America's military less involved in skirmishes all over the globe.